Have you ever wondered if the story you know about the angels imprisoned in the Euphrates River truly reflects the whole truth? Leave us your comment and tell us if you've ever felt that something didn't quite fit in the traditional account of the scriptures. Today, we're going to dive into a mystery that challenges centuries of interpretation and could forever change the way you understand the scriptures and the purpose of these spiritual beings. Because what is written in the book of Revelation is not only a warning for the future, but a key that connects what has been hidden from the beginning with what will be revealed at the end of times. In the last book of the Bible, Revelation 9:14-15, the Apostle John, exiled on the island of Patmos, speaks of 4 angels bound at the great river Euphrates, saying to the 6th angel who had the trumpet, "Release the 4 angels who are bound at the great river Euphrates." And the 4 angels, who had been prepared for the hour, day, month, and year, were released to kill 1/3 of mankind. These words resonate like an ancient echo, as if time itself had paused, waiting for someone to dare decipher the mysteries they hold. Who are these angels? Why are they bound? What do their chains and their release mean for the fate of humanity? These questions not only trouble theologians and scholars, but should awaken in each of us an urgency to understand the spiritual role these beings play in the unfolding of sacred history and in our own lives. Since the beginning of time, the Euphrates River has been a symbol of a boundary, a geographical limit that marked the end of the Promised Land and the beginning of the great civilizations of antiquity. In Genesis 2:14, it is mentioned that one of the rivers flowing from Eden was the Euphrates, a constant reminder of the connection between the lost paradise and the fall of humanity. Could it be that the imprisonment of these angels is tied to the same rebellion that dragged humanity into darkness? And what if their release were the trigger for a final judgment that would test the faith of millions? Jewish tradition, especially in the Talmud and Midrash writings, suggests that the Euphrates represents a spiritual threshold, a place where the divine and the profane meet in an eternal conflict. According to the Midrash Rabbah, the waters of the Euphrates witnessed the fall of kings, idolatry, and the bloodiest wars. It's as if the river itself were chosen as a guardian of secrets that no human eye has ever fully beheld. In the Book of Enoch, an apocryphal text respected by many early church fathers and the first Christian communities, we find that fallen angels were chained and confined in various places on earth, some in deserts, others in abysses, and surprisingly, some by the banks of rivers that represented the boundary between heaven and earth. Enoch 10:12-14 describes how these angels were bound and cast into the depths for corrupting humanity with their forbidden teachings. Could these be the same angels John sees in his vision, bound by the Euphrates? And what if I told you that the currents of the river have been guarding a mystery that is only now beginning to come to light? Early Christian scholars like Origen and Augustine attempted to interpret the meaning of these angels and their chains. Origen, in his commentary on Revelation, argued that these angels represent spiritual powers, fallen principalities that remain subject to the divine plan, awaiting the appointed hour to fulfill their purpose. Augustine, on the other hand, saw them as the personification of evil restrained by divine mercy until the time of their release, a time that would mark the beginning of unprecedented tribulations. Could it be that the Euphrates River is not just a geographical setting, but a symbol of the spiritual boundary that, once crossed, will unleash the forces the Creator has kept contained until the appointed day and hour? In the original Greek, the word used for bound is dedemenus, meaning bound with chains or restrained with bonds. Adil. This leads us to consider that these angels, though powerful, are not acting according to their own will, but remain subject to divine timing and a master plan known only to God. This vision reminds us of Jesus' words in Matthew 24:36. But of that day and hour no one knows, not even the angels of heaven, but my Father only. But the precision of the hour, day, month, and year mentioned in Revelation 9:15 suggests that the release of these angels will not be an accident, but a deliberate act in which every second counts, and every heartbeat of the world will have been measured beforehand. But why 4 angels and not just one? Hebrew tradition teaches us that the number 4 represents totality and universality, like the 4 cardinal points that encompass the entire earth. In Zechariah 6:5, the 4 chariots that come out from between 2 bronze mountains represent the 4 winds of heaven that traverse the whole earth. Could it be that these 4 angels are destined to execute judgment over all of humanity without distinction of nation or language? This vision is as awe-inspiring as it is hopeful, for it reminds us that nothing happens outside the control of the Most High, and even the darkest powers against their will fulfill the divine purpose. The Bible is clear in Psalm 103:20 that mighty angels carry out His word and obey His voice, even if their actions seem, to our eyes, full of terror and destruction. As I read these lines, I wonder, what does this mystery mean to you? Do you feel fear or fascination? Have you ever wondered if there are things kept hidden to protect us, and if, when revealed, they could change the way you view spiritual life? Leave your comment and share your experience with the unknown, with what stirs you deep in your soul. Because this journey has only just begun, and what is yet to be revealed could shake the very foundations of your faith. As we navigate this river of mysteries and visions, it's impossible not to pause and reflect on the invisible force that binds these angels. The scriptures give us clues, but ancient traditions and the interpretations of the church fathers expand the image forming in our minds. It is said that the Euphrates River, known for its mighty waters and history-laden banks, is more than a mere natural channel. It is a silent witness to broken covenants, the rebellion of kings and nations, and the eternal struggle between light and darkness. When John writes about these angels, he does so from the experience of a man who has seen visions so profound they overflow the boundaries of human comprehension. What voice echoed in his heart as he penned these words? What fears or certainties accompanied him during the lonely nights on Patmos, when his only companions were the whisper of the wind and the roar of the waves? The prophet Daniel, centuries earlier, also had visions involving rivers and angels. In Daniel 10:4, he was standing by the great river Tigris when a man clothed in linen appeared to him, his face like lightning. Could it be that these Mesopotamian rivers, the Tigris and the Euphrates, are spiritual portals where heaven intertwines with earth? Ancient Jewish culture believed that certain places were umbilical, points of connection between the divine and the human. Thus, the Euphrates becomes more than water. It is a golden thread linking the Creator's designs with the events that are yet to unfold on earth. I recall a conversation with an elderly scripture scholar, a man whose face was etched with the wrinkles of a life dedicated to seeking the sacred. He once told me, "The prison of these angels is not made of clay or stone, but of the very word of God. Their chains are invisible, yet as strong as the eternal decree that upholds the universe." His words echoed in my heart like an ancient reverberation, reminding me that everything bound in heaven and on earth obeys the sovereignty of the one who holds the book of destinies in his hand. In the Zohar, one of the oldest Kabbalistic texts, it is mentioned that rebellious angels were confined not only as punishment, but to preserve the balance of the cosmos. According to this mystical tradition, their voices still resonate beneath the waters of the Euphrates, crying out for redemption or vengeance, yet subject to a silence imposed by the Creator himself. Have you ever wondered if our own fears and shadows are also bound by invisible chains, awaiting the moment to be confronted and released? The image of these bound angels reminds me that no force in the universe can break the bonds imposed by God unless He permits it. The Euphrates itself, with its waters stained over centuries by the blood of empires, seems to whisper this mystery to those who dare to listen. Babylon, Assyria, Persia, all rose and fell along its banks. And now, in the heart of this geography marked by glory and ruin, John sees 4 angels waiting, patient and powerful, for the final command to go forth and carry out their terrible mission. What does this divine patience, this millennial waiting that seems to defy the logic of our human time, mean for us? Perhaps it reminds us that what we consider delay is, in reality, the perfect synchrony of eternity. The verse describing them says they are prepared for the hour, day, month, and year. This almost mathematical precision is no coincidence. Every moment has been measured, every sigh of the universe counted. The Apostle Peter tells us in his second letter, 2 Peter 3:8, that for the Lord, one day is like 1,000 years, and 1,000 years like one day. So how could we understand the release of these angels other than as the manifestation of a moment inscribed in the very heart of God? This divine exactitude should fill us with awe and humility, reminding us that our lives too are subject to sacred times we may not yet fully comprehend. But we cannot overlook the role these angels play. Revelation says they will be released to kill 1/3 of mankind, a statement that chills the blood and shakes the conscience. How do we reconcile this vision with a God who is love and mercy? Here lies the dilemma that has troubled generations of believers. Some theologians argue that these angels are not inherently evil, but ministers of divine judgment, executors of a justice that has been delayed by mercy, but must ultimately be fulfilled. Others see them as symbols of the forces of chaos that God allows to act to purify the earth, like a fire that burns away the dross and leaves only what is pure. Be that as it may, this vision challenges us to look beyond the literal, to understand that spirituality is not always gentle or accommodating. There are moments when holiness itself demands confrontation with the dark, with what must be destroyed for the light to prevail. Just as gold must pass through the crucible, humanity too faces trials that reveal what lies deep within the heart. And these angels, with their fearsome mission, are part of that process, leading creation to its final consummation. As I contemplate these words, I feel something deeper pulsing behind each line. Isn't it perhaps a mirror of our own inner struggle, of those contradictory forces we sometimes feel roaring within us? What if these angels bound at the Euphrates were also a reflection of the aspects of our lives we have yet to release or understand? The scriptures call us to watch, to be vigilant, because at the least expected moment, what has been dormant may awaken, and what has been bound may be loosed. Let me ask you once more, what does this mystery mean to you? Does it confront you, intrigue you, or fill you with hope? Leave your comment and share your spiritual experience, because by sharing our reflections, we weave together a tapestry of faith and understanding that can illuminate the darkest corners of our hearts. As we near the end of this journey, allow me to take you by the hand across the threshold that separates human knowledge from divine revelation. Because what we have explored so far is not just an ancient story, but a door opening to the mystery of the spiritual destiny each of us must face. The angels bound at the river Euphrates are far more than shadowy figures in the pages of the Bible. They are living symbols of the forces that, though restrained by God's decree, await the command to act at the precise moment. In the silence of their chains, there is a constant reminder that divine justice neither hastens nor delays, but arrives with the precision of an eternal clock. Imagine for a moment the thunder that might shake the earth when those chains break, and the Euphrates River becomes the stage for a judgment that will mark a before and after for humanity. We cannot fully comprehend the scope of this event, but we can sense that it transcends the physical, an act involving the deepest spiritual dimensions of the universe. For just as the Euphrates has witnessed kings, armies, and entire cities that rose and fell along its banks, it will also witness the release of these forces that have been awaiting their appointed hour. In my heart, the warning resounds that this event will not merely be a manifestation of destruction, but an opportunity for humanity to awaken to the spiritual reality we have too often ignored. What if I told you that every tragedy, every battle, and every fall throughout history has been an echo of a deeper spiritual drama unfolding in a realm we cannot always see? What if these fallen angels, though frightening, were part of a divine plan seeking to purify and redeem all of creation? This thought fills me with awe and at the same time a strange peace, because I know that nothing happens outside the control of the one who holds the universe in the palm of his hand. Let us return for a moment to John's words in Revelation 9:15, and the four angels who had been prepared for the hour, day, month, and year were released to kill a third of mankind. Can you imagine what it means to be prepared for an act so terrible yet so necessary within the framework of divine justice? Preparation implies obedience, discipline, and total submission to God's will. Though these angels were rebellious in their initial fall, they remain bound, subject to His word, awaiting the signal that will mark the start of their mission. This teaches us that even the darkest powers are under God's absolute authority. Nothing escapes His gaze or His perfect judgment. In Christian tradition, Augustine reminds us that God, in His infinite wisdom, allows evil not because He desires it, but because He knows how to use it to fulfill His purposes. Evil becomes an instrument to reveal the true condition of the human heart, to separate light from darkness, and to lead humanity toward a deeper understanding of His grace. Just as gold is purified in fire, so too is the human heart purified through trials. And these angels, however paradoxical it may sound, are part of that final purification process. I wonder if we are aware of the invisible chains surrounding us. Perhaps, like those angels, we have parts of ourselves waiting to be released, not to bring destruction, but to reveal the truth of who we are. Because true freedom is not the absence of limits, but the ability to obey God's perfect plan for our lives. And perhaps, in the silence of the night, we can hear the whisper of the Euphrates reminding us that each of us has an hour, a day, a month, and a year appointed to fulfill a purpose beyond what we can imagine. The mystery of these angels confronts us with the reality of a God who does not always act as we expect, but always acts with justice and love. It challenges us to look beyond the visible and ask ourselves, what role do we play in this cosmic drama? Are we prepared to face the judgment that will come when the chains break and the river reveals its secrets? Or have we closed our eyes and hardened our hearts, ignoring the signals the Spirit gives us? Today, I invite you not only to read these words, but to let them resonate in the deepest part of your soul. Because this mystery is not just for scholars or theologians, but for every person who longs to understand God's plan for their life. May the mystery of the angels bound at the Euphrates be a reminder to you that, though at times it seems evil triumphs and darkness spreads unchecked, God remains seated on His throne, holding the keys of time and destiny. Nothing happens without His consent, and every chain that breaks will do so only when He permits it. What do you think about this mystery? We want to hear your reflection. Leave us your comment and share with us how this topic has been touched upon your heart.